You're listening to the IB4E Coaching Podcast.
Brought to you by IB4E Coaching, business coaching for executives, entrepreneurs, and small business professionals. Learn more at ib4e-coaching.com.
Hey, Coach Harlan here. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're having an exceptional week, and I'm having a great week, and I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest today. Please help me welcome Matt Diamante. Matt Diamante is a passionate entrepreneur dedicated to helping small business owners unlock the power of digital marketing to grow their businesses. As a founder of Hey Tony, Matt has built a reputation for making SEO and social media strategies approachable and actionable, enabling his clients to achieve incredible results without a massive budget. With a knack for breaking down complex concepts into practical steps, he's helped countless entrepreneurs take control of their online presence and dominate their local markets. Matt's philosophy is rooted in transparency, genuine relationships, and empowering others to succeed. Because when his clients win, he wins too. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for having me. That was quite the intro. I love it.
Well, hey. Yeah. So I've got to ask, Hey Tony, where did you come up with the business name Hey Tony?
All right, right into the deep cut questions. I love it. So the name Hey Tony, it comes from I used to live in Toronto. I live in a smaller town now. I used to live in the big city, and one day they were changing over the streetcar tracks, and the guys doing that, like they're like the construction guys, like the big muscle, burly, manly men guys. And I was walking by on my way to lunch, and I overheard them say, or the one guy say, "Hey Tony, you always know how to put a smile on my face." And I just thought, what a genuine expression of emotion from somebody you would not expect to, be saying that. And I was like, there's that transparency, there's the honesty, there's the, hey man, you just made my day better. You put a smile on my face. You made me happy. And that was the kind of ethos or kind of, connection I want to have with anybody my business touched, whether it was my team or clients or, even strangers on the internet.
Nice.
And I was like,
cool.
Hey, Tony, that's the name.
Yep. That's awesome. Love it. I knew there was a story back there. I just had to find out what it is. All right. So we're gonna talk about all this stuff, how you got your start. Hey Tony, the people you work with, how you help them, things that you're doing right now. But before we get started, I've got 10 questions that I like to ask each of my guests. Now, listeners know these questions are from the TV show Inside the Actor's Studio, where the host James Lipton asks these same questions of his Hollywood guests from TV, film, and stage. And I figure if they're good enough for the Hollywood elite, they're certainly good enough for my guests. So, Matt, if you're ready, I've got 10 simple questions for you.
I'm scared, but I'm ready. Let's do it.
You'll do fine. No studying necessary. All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite word?
Ooh, just favorite word in general? Oh my God. I think audacity.
Okay.
The word audacity. Like, can you believe they had the audacity to do that?
Nice.
I guess, yeah.
Love it. No, that's good. All right. What's your least favorite word?
My least favorite word. I wouldn't say it's a word as more of a couple words. Like, I don't know, or I can't do that. It's really, or yeah, just stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can elaborate. I don't know if I'm allowed to elaborate on these questions or not.
Oh, yeah. If you want to, but that can't seems to be one of the top ones, responses to this question. And I know it drives me crazy too. A lot of people go, "Oh, I can't do that." It's like you won't do it. You can.
Yeah.
You have the capability. It's just you won't for whatever reason, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. What turns you on?
I honestly I love helping people. This is gonna sound crazy. I'm gonna elaborate. I'm gonna go way off track for a second.
Okay.
But I love when. Sorry, let me take a step back before I say I love when. I truly believe I can help change the world. And what I mean by that is if I can help small business owners change their local worlds, the world as a whole will change from community to community to community, right? They'll get better. They can, if they're ranking higher on Google, which is what I help my clients with, or getting more business for their local business, if they are getting more money, they're making more money, they can hire more people, more money is going back into those local communities, more people have jobs, there's less homeless people, there's less people who can't afford healthcare or anything like that. Like I love seeing people do well and I love helping them in any way that I can.
Nice.
Was that too
That's
far
all. That was
crazy?
perfect. That no, not at all. That's awesome because I think that's why a lot of us go into business. We want to help people. We want to help solve this problem or fill this need or whatever it is. So yeah, perfect. All right. So the opposite of that, what turns you off?
Uh, and this is something my accountant says to me all the time when I'm like trying to make a choice. He goes, uh, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. So when I see people taking advantage or charging more money than they need to, or it's like that old like you go to the auto mechanic, you don't know anything about cars, and they're like, it's going to be $5,000, and you're like, for what? And they're like, well, the air pressure gauge in your tire is not working, and it's going to cost $5,000, and you're like, I guess I have to pay that. I don't know anything. Like it's stuff like that where I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, don't do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm with you. There you go. All right. What sound or noise do you love?
I love the sound of my Stripe account going ding ding when I'm making sales. Because like digital marketing doesn't really make sales outside of the ding notification that I get on my
Yeah.
phone when somebody buys
Yeah.
something.
Nice. What sound or noise do you hate?
Uh, Honestly, like I as much as I love my dogs, I hate when they bark. Like I
Mm.
not like they can like barking's fine, but I hate when they're at the window and it's like I'm upstairs, I'm yelling at them like, guys, I'm on a podcast right now. Like you need to shut up. And they're just barking. I'm like, what are you? There's nobody even outside. So I don't know that I hate it's just like the most frustrating sound in the world because you're like, what did you see? How can I help
Yep.
you?
There's nothing here. What are you
Yeah.
barking at? Yeah. Yep. I know the feeling. Absolutely. All right. Question 7. What is your favorite curse word?
I don't know, like is it favorite by frequency of use or favorite by, I would in
Just
that
your
case
go-to.
I would say
You're walking
fuck.
through the house in the middle of the night and you bump your toe on something. You're going to scream something.
I feel like it's either gonna be fuck or fuck sakes.
Okay.
Or for fuck's sake, like, oh my
Yep.
God, right?
Yep.
That's yeah.
That if I went back through all the podcast episodes and stuff, that is number one at the very top.
Yeah.
I mean, way out in front of everything else. So that seems to be the favorite. All right. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Honestly, okay. So I talk about this all the time with my wife, and she thinks I'm insane for it. I'm like, I would love one day to like not do any of this stuff. Like, I love my job now. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love every aspect of it, well, almost every aspect of it. I don't really like the accounting part that much, um, but I love every aspect of my job right now. And I'm like, I would love one day to just cut lawns, like nice big grass. Put on some headphones, put on like the ear protectors, drive around on like one of those like where you can turn 90 degrees kind of
Hmm.
thing. Um, I would, they would just, it's so fulfilling because my job right now, I'm not actually creating anything material, right? Like I don't make a
Yeah.
product. My service is all online. So I'm creating like ones and zeros, I guess, with like
Yep.
typing on the keyboard. So there's nothing tangible, but with cutting a lawn,
Yeah.
you're, the job's getting done, man. You
And
feel
you
that
see the
sense of
results.
fulfillment.
You see the
Yeah.
results, how clean it is, manicured lawn. Yeah. I'm the
Yeah.
same, man. I throw it all away and open a lawn business. If you ever decide to do it, let me know. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll come with you.
Absolutely.
Very cool. All right. What profession would you not like to do?
Oh my God. So this is I did this when I was a teenager with my uncle. Roofing. It
Oh,
is
yeah.
roofing in July.
Brutal.
No, no, thank you. Like obviously it's really hot up there. You can fall if you exert yourself a little bit too much. Like have you ever stood up and seen stars?
Oh, yeah.
Get those like like if that happens on a roof and you can't catch yourself, you're falling
Hmm.
down. No, no, thank you. Or you're stepping on a nail if you don't have like you should have steel toe boots, but
Yep.
I didn't always. I've stepped on some nails. Not great. You have to go get tennis
Yeah.
shots and stuff.
Yeah. Brutal. That's bad. All right. Final question, Matt. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh my God, that like what an existential question. How do people answer that? What would God say at the pearly gates? Um, I just hope he wouldn't turn me down. I think. I think that's my answer. I say like, well, come on in. Like that's what I'd like to hear.
Yeah, not you're looking for the other line, right?
Yeah. The other
Yeah.
line, take that slide
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, exactly. Next floor down. All
Yeah.
right. No, that's perfect. Good job. All right, Matt, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to talk about how you got your start, how you got into the marketing SEO side of it, how you came up with Hey Tony. We talked about a little bit. We'll go in a little deeper, and then at some point, we're going to transition into courage and leadership. All right.
Let's do it.
Cool. All right, listeners, we're going to talk about all of that and more right after this. So stick with us. And I'm back with my guest, Matt Diamante. Matt, thanks again for agreeing to be on the podcast. Chris Ward is the one who connected us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was like almost a year ago, I feel like at this point.
It seems like it was a long time ago. I know because I was still getting settled in. We just moved back to the Atlanta area. We got the house. We have a dog now. We have all this stuff going on. And it's just, I got the message from Chris. It's like, I got to do something with this. And man, I'm glad I did. I'm glad we finally got connected. So
Me too.
thank you for being on here. So tell me, how'd you get your start? What did you do before? I always ask people, is this what you wanted to, when you were growing up? Did you say, man, I want to be an SEO and marketing guru or something like that?
No, I
What did you want
actually
to be when you were growing up?
I wanted to be so many different things growing up. Like I think number one was like being a rock star, right? You could like
Okay.
if people are
Yeah.
watching this, you could see that there's a guitar in the back. I wanted to like, be in a band, play music, write songs, go into the studio, that whole kind of thing. And we weren't really that great. Like we weren't bad, but we weren't like, the rock star material. Maybe a couple more years, something could have happened. But no, like I think that's where I really, really wanted to go in life. But at the end of the day, I almost stayed a year longer in high school because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like it's always, go to school, go to college right after, and make a decision that you're gonna do for the rest of your life when you're 18 or 17. And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. So
I
I
don't know.
almost stayed a year longer, but last minute I was like, I'm gonna go to school for heating and cooling, like HVAC. And I did a year of that. And I was like, you know what? Like I was really good at it, got great grades. I like working with my hands. I like troubleshooting and problem solving. And I went back the first day of the second year and I was like, I had my tools out. I was like working on a furnace and I was like, you know what? I don't want this for my life. I don't want to be working on furnaces. Like that to me doesn't feel fulfilling. It's a great job. We need that job. I've hired people to come into my house to fix my stuff
Yep.
multiple times, but I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't what I want to do. So I took a year off and really like I was playing music. I was in a band, writing original stuff, playing like local gigs, whatever you want to call them. And I was like, how can I promote my band? And my parents want me to go back to school. So how can I promote my band while going back to school and they're going to pay for me to go to school, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, advertising, that sounds great. I could use those lessons to figure out how to promote my band better in the world. So I went to school for advertising and I really fell in love with the SEO side of things and kind of fell out of love with the music side of things. I still love playing music. I don't do it as often as I used to, but I just fell in love with the SEO and trying to figure things out. And the most interesting thing was you could make something out of literally thin air. It doesn't exist, and it can make you or somebody else money, right? Whether it's yourself or your client. And I was like, this is so, so, so exciting. So after, I graduated college, I did an internship. I moved to Toronto, the biggest city in Canada, in case, people haven't heard of Toronto. And I call it Toronto. So if you live there, if you're from there, you say Toronto, not Toronto. It's a weird thing, but you'll know if somebody's actually from there.
Yep.
So I moved to Toronto and did some internships, worked at some big agencies, and really I hated it. I was like, I did all this schooling and now I'm like doing what they geared you up to do. And I was like, I don't like this at all. And we'll get into this later, but like I had terrible experiences like with work-life balance, with getting paid, because I did some freelance stuff as well, with just, hours and, all this kind of stuff. It was just really brutal and like internal politics, like, oh my God, don't get me started on all that stuff.
Yep.
So I actually quit, left the industry, and I was like, I'm gonna go drive trucks for commercials, like TV commercials.
Okay.
And I drove trucks for TV commercials. And with that job, there's a lot of downtime. So I somehow managed to get a couple clients that I was doing like SEO for or building a website. And I would sit literally on the lot in the truck after it was all unloaded. And I would have my laptop hotspotted from my phone, and I would just, build a website or do something else. So I was kind of double dipping a little bit. Um, yeah, there like I can tell you so much more. Like there's so much more history that we can get into. I just don't know how quickly do you want to progress? What do you want to talk
Yeah.
about?
Well, this is exactly what I was hoping to find out is kind of how the transitions, because everybody goes through those things, right? You start down a path. I had one friend of mine. I think he had completed almost 4 or 5 different degrees, and he got
Yeah,
right up to the end. And goes, "No, I don't think I'm going to like this," and he started over on something else, right?
yeah,
Biology. He was um, uh, agriculture and stuff. I
right.
just
Yeah.
all over the map. Kind of whatever he woke up thinking about that morning, he started a degree in it. But that happens to people. But I think all that plays into your toolkit. So then when you get ready to help somebody, it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about because I did that, right?
Yeah.
I've experienced that exact thing. So very cool. So when did you then uh, discover or found, hey Tony? When did that come in?
So I've taken you up to, I think, 2014 at this point, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot of time between 2014 and now. So in 2014, I actually, and this is like a whole side business that I started with some other guys. I convinced some investors to give me and a couple other guys, or we convinced some investors to start an online publication where we didn't really know what we were doing. We were like, yeah, we're going to register this domain. We're going to write articles on here. We had, I think, 7 people on the team. And at one point, there was like 15 or something like that on the team. And it was like a mix of interns and like all this kind of stuff. And we got an office downtown. We got all this kind of stuff. And it was my responsibility to build the website and do the SEO. Um, and social media as well, because when I was working in the traditional advertising firms, I was doing
Mhm.
social media, and I really hated that. So naturally, that was my job at the next thing I was doing as well. So
Sure.
we started this business. We all got like the shares. I still have it framed somewhere. We're moving right now, so I have stuff like in boxes and stuff. But I have like the actual shares that I had from this company, and before I even get into where everything went, it's not around anymore. So
Mm.
there's it was a success in terms of the lessons that I learned. Like we grew it from, I think, like, well, from zero traffic to 3, 4 months, we were getting 30,000 views a month, visitors to the website, which is great. For any business, like a local business, that's a lot of traffic. But for us,
Mhm.
we had investors saying, "Hey, when are you guys going to start making money? It's been 3 months." And we're like, "Whoa, I don't know. We need more traffic to the website." And then I think 3 months after that, we went from 30,000 people a month to we started going viral on, like, our articles started going viral on Facebook and Twitter and Reddit. We're like, Reddit crashed our site so many times because we
Wow.
figured out how to write pieces of content that people want to click on without it being clickbait, but having
Right.
that curiosity gap and kind of that hook, if you will, to get people to click and read more and share it, most importantly. So we learned how to do all that kind of stuff. And then we were getting like 4 million visitors to the website. We were making 20, 30, $40,000 a month from ad revenue, which is
Wow.
impossible these days. You can't, you really can't do that. And then things kind of fell apart. Certain shareholders and stuff had different opinions as to where the business should go, and we kind of just let it fizzle away. So I did that
Mm.
for, I think it was 2 or 3 years, until things kind of fizzled out. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take all the experience I have and I'm going to go work at a traditional agency at like a little bit of a higher up job. So I took over somebody's contract for 6 weeks because I was like, you know what? I don't want to fully commit, but a contract for 6 weeks sounds really great.
Yeah.
And the second day there, I booked a 2 month trip right after the 6 weeks because I hated it so much. I was like, this is the worst, this is the worst experience. And not that the agency was bad, it just like wasn't for me. So I booked a 2 month trip and just like traveled around California and around Western Canada. And it was really, really, really great. But during that time, even when I was running this publication, I still had one or two freelance clients on the side. And it wasn't until I think it's 2018, I had too many clients because, I'd been doing that for 4 or 5 years at that point. People started to know, okay, Matt is the SEO guy. If you need a website, go to Matt. If you need this, go to Matt. And I just had too many clients, so I had to hire somebody to help me. And
Wow.
that, oh my God. So I accidentally kind of stumbled into running a business with more than one person and having an employee. And that was scary, man. Hiring
Yeah,
somebody,
I can
giving
imagine.
away like
Yep. The
not quite
first time
half
you
of
have
it,
to
but
hire
like
somebody. Yeah.
you're giving away a lot of money and you're like, I hope this thing works out. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Wow. So how many people do you have working for you now?
I don't like to say working for me because we are a team. Everybody
Okay.
brings something unique to the table. So on the team, there are 13 or 14 of us. I just hired some people recently. So, and that's not including freelancers and stuff like that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's wild, man. And now I don't
Wow.
feel that same pressure when I hired my first person. I'm like, yeah, let's hire two more people. Like, great. Like that sounds good because I know if we train them, if we show them our process and our exact, step by step of the way, they're gonna succeed. They're gonna be unless I had a really bad judgment call on hiring somebody, which I haven't yet. Everybody's been really great. Um, Everybody works out. It's great.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I've got a couple clients that are at that point now where they say, should I hire somebody? It's like, well, what kind of work do you have in the pipeline? Can you afford, this? Like there's certain aspects of the business you want to know. Hey, do you have this going? If it's like I have no idea where the next check's coming from, then no, don't hire somebody.
Yeah.
End up, so yeah. But that can be scary. Absolutely can be scary. Um, so specifically, like who do you work for? Do you have a certain niche that you go after, or do you help just anybody who's looking for SEO?
So there's a lot of like very niche agencies like, oh, I only work on law firms or dental offices or this or that, whatever specific industry. And I find whenever we inadvertently, not inadvertently, what am I trying to say? When we take over a client from somebody who is with one of those, niche agencies, I look at the work and I'm like, what were they doing? Like, this is not best practice. Like maybe 10 years ago, that's what you would have done to optimize a site. Or 5 years ago, the strategy kind of worked. But I'm like, this doesn't really work anymore. And they get into this cycle of like, if you hire this, and don't get me wrong, there's some really great people, like really great niche people. But what I find is it's more like kind of like a farm. Like you go in, they do this stuff, and it's like the same for every single website and every single
Okay.
business. And there's a lot
There's
of
a
like
rubber
duplicate.
stamp, right?
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like that they say they're doing this stuff, but it's not doing anything for you, which is why now we're having this conversation. Um, and so our niche is small businesses. I say small to medium-sized businesses, but
Okay.
we worked with we did SEO for the largest bank in Canada, right? And
Hmm.
it's again, it's the same strategies we do for the mom and pop guy down the street, but we charge the bank more money because, they're a bank. They can afford
Sure.
it. But yeah, no, I don't know where I was going with all of that.
Well,
That's
that's
the
okay. No,
niche.
because it's so you everybody always says the riches are in the niches, right?
Yeah.
You have to niche down to this only left-handed, red-haired, whatever. That's
Yep.
who I work with. It's like for marketing, maybe that's where you put your money so you can get your word out to show an expert in this area. But honestly, you'll help whoever comes to your door and says, "Help me," right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as they have a business that we do believe we can help, like I turn people away. And it's like I can't work with your industry because we don't know enough, or like there's regulations there that we're gonna spend more time learning about that than actually working on your
Okay.
stuff. So like definitely turning people away, or like not necessarily turning them away, but referring them to colleagues of mine that I'm like, that person's really great with cannabis, right? With cannabis businesses or CBD, like they can help you. That's not something that we really have a lot of experience with. Um, so one of the things is by working with all these different niches and like working with all these different clients, we're able to take strategies from like a roofing company and apply that to a dentist, for example, because we're seeing like that's working with like these five clients over here, all different industries. Nobody's doing that in the dental industry. Let's go try some of that over there.
Okay.
And it works or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work,
Okay.
we, take that knowledge and kind of go from there. So when you're saying like the riches are in the niches, like I believe that's more like vertical in terms of the actual service that you offer, right? So if I'm like we do offer other services as well, but like 95% of our clients are SEO, right? Search engine optimization. We're helping them show up higher on Google. And that's what we're the best at, right? We still know how to do some of the other stuff. So if somebody comes to us and like, hey, we're getting traffic to our website, you guys did a really great job. We're getting 10 or 20,000 people to our website per month. It's like, okay, but now we need help converting those people. We can say, okay, because we have people who do some of these other things, try doing this, right? You didn't hire us to do this, but go add, an exit intent pop-up on your website, or add a retargeting pixel, or we can go in and add buttons like in your content for you to like get a free quote or get started, or whatever it
Right.
might be.
Yeah.
So we have that experience, but we're really focused on what we're good at, which is driving traffic through Google.
Nice. Yeah, I tell my clients, business is business. I mean, when you come down to the bare bones, right? Strip it all the way down to the skeleton. You have customers you're trying to sell to, you have products and services you're trying to sell to them, right? You have employees you're trying to keep employed. Those things are pretty much standard regardless of what the business is. You could be a dog walker, you could be a,
Yeah.
whatever. Those are all the same. It's how you do some of those things and how you find your audience and everything. That's where it starts getting right in the niche areas and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. What is it that entrepreneurs are missing or they get wrong when it comes to SEO?
When it comes to SEO, what a lot of people get wrong is, sorry, this is like the number one thing that I see is like they don't use the keyword on the page at all that they're trying to rank
Ah,
for. And I
okay.
know that sounds crazy and ridiculous because if you're a plumber in Hamilton, that's where I live. If you're a plumber in Hamilton and you don't have the words plumber and Hamilton next to each other
Right,
on your page, like why should you rank for that when the top 10 people all have that, right?
right.
The other thing is like they don't have patience, right?
Mm,
Having patience is like with any marketing, but especially with SEO,
sure.
you need to have patience because Google takes their time to index websites and index links into their search results because they don't want spammers just like flooding.
Yeah,
I mean, people still slip through, but they don't want people just spamming the search results, making their user experience worse. And then they
right.
go to Bing or they go to Yahoo, or now they're using ChatGPT or Search GPT to do some searches because Google's not as good as it was, right? Like, so
Yeah,
Google's trying to prevent that from happening.
yeah. Yeah, the patience I think is huge because so many people think, oh, yeah, I've hired somebody, he just put this on my website. By tomorrow, I'll have millions of views or whatever and stuff. It's like, no, this
Yeah.
takes time. You have to tweak it, you have to dial it in, right, to get it right. And like I said, maybe they don't have those words or the word combinations on the website. You got to make sure they
Yeah.
have all that laid out and stuff. So yeah, it takes time. How long would you say that takes normally? How long do you allow before you actually think, hey, we're going to get some results here?
I'm going to say what all marketers say and what clients hate to hear. It depends.
Perfect. That is, I was a
Yeah.
consultant for 30 years. We were taught whatever question you're asked, your immediate answer is, well, that depends, right? If somebody asks you
Yeah.
what time it is, well, that depends. Where are you on the continent? you know,
Yeah.
it all absolutely it depends. And then let's get down to the brass
So
tacks. Yep.
I have a general range, 6 to 8 months. And it could
Okay.
be if you're a brand new website or if somebody really messed up your stuff, you're like your old SEO person expert agency,
Mm,
somebody really messed it up. Like it could take a year, it could take up to 2 years. Now, we had a
mm,
client that we started working with a couple years ago. And in the first like 4 months, they weren't really seeing that many results, and they're like, well, I'm paying you guys a lot of money. And that's another thing too, like SEO is expensive. If you're paying somebody cheap, they could be doing some sneaky things that aren't necessarily going to be good in the long run for your business, right? And we've taken over clients like that, and unfortunately there's nothing we can do, right? Because they've already been kind of poisoned, if you will.
right.
That well's been poisoned. But so we were working with her for 4 months. Nothing was really happening. Month five, a little bit of an uptick. Month six, like a bigger uptick. So they decided, okay, we're going to keep working with you. We're going to keep working with you. A year later, their business doubled,
Wow.
right? Like they're making a fuck ton of money. I was like, can I
Right.
swear? And I was like, yeah, I just swore earlier. They're making a fuck ton of money, right? So I'm like, and not every client is like that, and not every
Right.
client gives us that time. So having more time, having the ability to, and you know what, we're marketers. We just know a little bit more. I don't want to say a little bit. We know a lot more than you do if you're not a marketer, if you're just a business owner in terms of SEO and stuff like that. But we're still guessing partly. We're making very educated guesses and decisions, but not everything pans out. If that works for client A, might not work for client B, C, or D, but at least we have that learning and, working with so many clients, we can take that information that's working with like if it's working for half,
Right.
roll it out to everybody, right?
Very cool. And then what about budgeting? How do you working with small business or mid-sized business? How do you help them figure out what their budget needs to be? Is it a percentage of revenue that you set aside for the marketing and stuff?
That really depends on the business itself. So like our services start right now at $3,000 a month,
Okay.
right? So if you don't have $3,000 a month, you can go hire somebody cheaper. You can wait until you have some money to work with us kind of thing. But I also like I don't like taking that a business's last $3,000 a month and doing SEO and spending it because if they don't see results after 6 months and they don't have the budget to stay for like month 7, 8, 9, and they don't see results and they're gonna be jaded. They're gonna say that the whole industry is a scam, all this kind of stuff. So I don't like necessarily dealing with businesses that can't afford at least a little bit more than that. I don't want anybody to not eat because of this. And
Right.
that kind of
Yeah.
brings me to I post on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I post these strategies for free, right? You have to piece it together and all this kind of stuff. And yes, I
Right.
do have a course that pieces it together for you, and it's like a
Yeah.
step-by-step thing, but I post it all for free online because I actually want to help small businesses.
Nice.
And what's been happening, and I might be rambling, so stop me if I'm
No,
going
no,
too
no.
far.
No, it's good.
Um, what happens sometimes is a small business will start doing their own SEO. They'll implement some
Hmm.
of the tricks or some of the strategies that I've posted about, and then they get to a point where they're like, "We're making enough money now. Can you take this over for me? I don't have time to do it anymore because the business has grown." And I'm like,
Nice.
fuck yeah, that's awesome. And then there's other people who are like, I haven't paid you a dime. I haven't like bought any of your courses or any of your tools or anything like that. And I watch all your videos for free on Instagram and I implemented that stuff. I'm getting 8,000 people to my website a month and it's changed my
Nice.
life. And I'm like, that is even better. That's awesome. Like that shows what I'm doing is actually having an impact on people's lives, which is my
Right.
goal at the end of the day.
Nice. Yeah, I can see the helping them out and giving them those little bits and pieces and stuff, at least to get them started. Let them
Yeah.
see, oh, this is a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on here. And then they say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you take this
Well,
over?
you know what I heard recently? Somebody messaged me saying, "Hey, I just started working for this company like 3, 4 months ago, and they have an SEO agency, and I've watched your videos, I've taken some courses and stuff like that, and can you just look at this and tell me what, like, if they're doing anything? Like, I don't think they're actually doing anything. We're paying them like $3 or $4,000 a month." And I'm like, okay, so they send me all this stuff. And I'm like, no, you're absolutely right. Like, I can't see that they're doing anything. And like the quote unquote email report that you sent me has 3 things in it. And I'm like, that's not stuff that's necessarily helping. Um,
Uh,
and she was like, I knew it. So like she watched the videos, she educated herself and is
nice.
helping that business not get scammed by somebody who's not actually doing anything for them, which
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know about SEO, but there's a lot of like scammers and spammers or whatever in the industry that are like, pay me $500 a month and I'll get you higher, like ranking higher on
Right.
Google. And you're like, okay, like what are you doing for that $500 or that $1,000 or that $10,000? And they're like, oh, it's a trade secret. It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
not a
You wouldn't
trade
understand.
secret. Yeah, you wouldn't understand. Like,
Right.
sorry, I'm getting very
No, no,
very
no.
hot under the
Because,
collar about this stuff here.
and I think that's why a lot of small businesses stuff shy away from the SEO and the marketing stuff. They don't understand it. And they've heard these horror stories where somebody takes, thousands of bucks a month and nothing ever comes of it. And you dig in, you realize they haven't done anything. They haven't been working for you,
Yeah,
or they added one keyword or something like that. They just, it's just not helping. Yeah. They didn't go through your website to find out if you're using the right words and,
yeah,
frustrating.
it's wild.
So how do you, so for these businesses you work for and stuff, how do you help them measure the improvement and do you set up metrics for them? Do you have like a scorecard that they have to track?
It's again, it's different from business to business. So what we're tracking on our end, like they're hiring us to help them get more visitors to their website for relevant terms, not like for, random terms that aren't related
Right.
to their business. So our metrics are they ranking higher on Google? Are they getting more clicks? Are they showing up in more searches? Yes, like if all of those are yes, like then this is going in the right direction. If we see, like month one is like 100 people, month two is 200, month three is 4, then 8, then 16, and then it's like, kind of going up like almost like a hockey stick. I'm
Yeah.
Canadian, so I'm going to say hockey stick. It's
Yeah.
going up like a
Yeah.
hockey stick. That's what we want to see. I'm like, that is successful, right? And then once we see that with our clients, I screenshot that. I don't say who the clients are, for privacy purposes or
Sure,
confidentiality.
sure.
But I'll take like a screenshot of that graph and be like, cool, here's exactly what we did for this client to get these results. And I'll
Right.
teach people how to do it for free online.
Nice.
And yeah, it's really kind of crazy.
But this is
So
how long it took to get them to this point, right? Where they
yeah.
started seeing some things. But then how often do you have to revisit that? Like once you get them dialed in, can it stay that way for a few months, or do you have to go in each month and kind of check things
So
out?
we're going in every month. We're going in actually every week, and we're creating new content or updating pages on their
Oh,
website.
nice. Okay.
And like that is why we're expensive because we are actually paying attention and we're doing a lot of stuff for our clients.
Nice.
Um, so every month they get that report that shows like how did you do in October, November, or previous months, because we want to measure their growth over time. And you know what? A lot of people will, if the let's say clicks go down. If the clicks go down, some people will say, "Oh, we're actually looking at impressions this month. We're going to look at this other metric. Don't look at that metric over here." Like our reports are the exact same every single month. Like
Got it.
you have a benchmark. It's like, is it higher or lower? If it's lower, it's like, well, why is it lower? Then we have to go in and investigate. Like, is
Yeah.
it the keywords we're using? Did somebody start going after the number one keyword that we were ranking for, and now we're ranking number two or number three? Right? So it's like we're keeping
Yeah.
track of that stuff all the time. And then, we ask clients like, how's business? Are you getting more conversions? And if they have like an online store like a Shopify, we could log in and see how are they doing this year compared to last year? And we can also ask them, are you doing any kind of other marketing? Which they usually tell us about because that's something we need to know.
Sure. And hopefully they're asking, if they get a new customer, where did you come from? Did you come from our website? Did you see us here? Whatever.
Yeah,
So you know what's working.
exactly.
Nice. Very cool. Matt, let's talk about courage and leadership. Um, I ask people, about courage all the time. They go, well, that's not really create courageous, right? Yeah, I started my own business. That's not courageous. From an entrepreneur standpoint, from somebody who maybe doesn't have an entrepreneur gene, right, in their system, it can be scary for them. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you took a big step, stepping out there on your own and stuff. Where did you find the courage to go from being an employee to say, no, this is, I want to be more, I want to have my own business? Where'd that come from?
So if you remember back to our conversation, I like haven't really ever had like a real long-term traditional job. So for me, it wasn't like the courage to start a business or anything like that. It was more like I feel like people who have like a 9 to 5 or like a full-time job, like that requires courage because you're getting one person paying you. I'm
Right.
like, it's much better to have five people paying you, right?
Yes.
Like you can't get fired from, well, you can, but you're likely not going to lose all five of your clients or all five of your revenue
All at the same
sources
time. Right.
at the same
Yep.
time. Which side story, I was in therapy, like talking to my therapist. This is like 2 years ago, like during COVID. Um,
Right.
and like right at the beginning, and she goes, and I kept complaining, like I'm like, oh, what if all my clients leave at the same time? She's like, what are the odds of that happening? And then 2 weeks later, I had a bunch of clients pause their services because they couldn't be open because of
Mm.
COVID. And I went back and I was like, what did I say? What happened? What did I
Exactly. I
say?
told you. I
Yeah.
told you.
I was like, thank you for giving me somebody to blame for this. But no, yeah, I like to me, it's just like yes, it is courageous to go out, figure things on your own, and do all that kind of stuff, especially after your entire life being led down this path of you go to school,
Right.
whatever the school hours are, you have weekends off, you're going to go to college or you're going to go straight to work, or then you're going to go to work after that. Then you're going to meet somebody and you're going to get married and you're going to have kids and then you're going to buy a house and you're going to do, all that kind of stuff. Um, like that's the path that you're led down. And it's like, yes, it does take courage to deviate from that path,
Sure.
right? Like my parents, like my mom's a nurse, my dad worked at a factory for 30 years, all this kind of stuff. And even, my family, like I'm trying to think, I'm like, I have a cousin who runs his own business, but everybody else had like traditional jobs.
I was going
Um,
to ask, yeah, any entrepreneurs in the family? Because a lot of times you'll see people, oh, yeah, I come from a long line, like from the 1600s. We've all been
yeah,
entrepreneurs. That's different than somebody who says, no, my family has always been, you hire in, you work for 40 years for the same company, basically sitting at the same desk doing the same job for 40 years. And then you say, that's not my life. That's not what I want. That's not what I chose. Right. And you go
yeah.
off and do something different. That takes some courage to just step out there.
Yeah, well, I think it like you can pull it back to when I was in a band. It's like we had to have courage to be in a band
Hmm.
and like get up on
Absolutely.
stage and like play the songs that we wrote in the basement to strangers, and hopefully they
Right.
liked it. Hopefully they didn't walk out of the bar, and hopefully we got called back. But like one of the other like I don't know, like now that we're talking about courage and I'm like back in the band days, like we
Mhm.
used to like, and I had a lot of courage, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, balls back then.
Yeah.
Like we recorded our first CD and like it was okay. I'll just say it was okay. I don't want to keep saying it was bad or good. It was okay. So I was like, how can we make money? Like we don't play that many shows, so people don't know about it. They can't buy it. We can't make money as a band. We can't record. We can't do all this stuff. And I was like, guys, why don't we go door to door and just sell the CD? Like go door
Okay.
knocking like on Saturdays and Sundays. And so we did that, and we had like this whole pitch about, hey, do you like local music? Do you want to support the community? We're a local band. It's only $10, blah 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 blah. And we were making like $100 an hour doing that, like going door to door. And I was like, sick, like this like courage or whatever, breaking the system, doing something
Right.
different, deviating, is making me more money than my parents make combined.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow. Very cool. And was there anybody you can think of in your past that's like, I want to be that courageous, or they showed courage and you thought, wow, I could probably do that too.
Um, well, it wasn't until so when I was like, yes, I was running the publication with some other people at that time. During kind of that time and shortly after, I kept meeting people, and whether they were a client who was like a solopreneur who was making 20, 30, $40,000 a month, or somebody who was running a restaurant making that much money, but still had a full-time job outside of that, or somebody running like a wood shop or whatever, like making really crazy money.
Mhm.
And I'm like, those people don't seem that special. Like and like the nicest way. Like there was nothing like crazy about them. I'm like, oh, you could just go make a bunch of money. Like that's, and the more people I met, I was like, the more realistic that became, and the less realistic like working 40 hours a week for 30, 40 years became. I was like, that doesn't seem realistic at all. This new thing, I'm meeting all these people, it's a possibility. And that kind of
Right.
shifted my mindset.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, Leadership. Anybody in your past that you worked for, you think they were an outstanding leader?
I feel this is gonna sound absolutely terrible, but I feel like I have worked with and for so many businesses that were not good leaders. And whether that was like on a commercial shoot or like a traditional agency job, or, just freelancing or whatever it was, like I had so much bad example of what not to do and like what
Yeah.
I hated. Like I hated that I had to argue with the whatever the title is on like a film set to get paid my $50 for my 12-hour day. And they were
Yeah.
like, "Did you really do any work?" And I'm like, I drove the truck there. I drove the truck back. Everything was fine. Why are we arguing over $50? That's not even minimum wage. Like I should be, taking you to some kind of, I don't know, court or something. But like
Yep.
I never wanted to argue about money. Like yeah, I did the job, pay me for the job. When I get an invoice now, I pay that person as soon as I see the invoice, right?
Right.
And like just other things like the whole work-life balance thing where it's like when you're young, you should work as many hours as you possibly can and like dedicate yourself to the company and don't take vacations, don't call in sick. Like fuck
Right.
that. Like my team, we work 4 days a week. We've been doing it for 2.5, 3 years now, and the
Yep.
results are great. Everybody's happy. Like nobody's taking crazy vacations because we work 4 days a week, and like they have vacation time. I actually
Yep.
have to close my business down for 2 weeks out of the year to meet the minimum, like for them to take vacation, right? So I close the business down. I'm like, you guys are forced, like you can't work. You have to take time off. And we're not working 4 10-hour days. It's like
Right.
9 to 5, whatever you could, we're all remote. So if you take breaks during the day, if you want to go out for lunch, like I don't need to know this. Just as long as your work gets
As
done,
long as
like
you get
who
your stuff done,
who
right? You got
cares?
deadlines. As long as you meet your deadlines, we're good. Yep.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
it's wild, and it's also the last thing I'll add to that is like it's always like work hard to make the company more money, but then like you're getting paid the same. So I do quarterly bonuses for my team based on the profits of the company.
Nice.
So remember how I said at the start, pigs get
Hmm.
fat, hogs get slaughtered. I want to
Hmm.
be nice and plump, right? I don't want my head to
Yeah,
get chopped off.
exactly. Exactly. No, that's good. Yeah, there's so many, if I ask the question, did you ever work for a bad boss? Holy cow, we talk for hours, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Finding that one person that you say, you know what, I I loved working for them. I would work for them again in a heartbeat. I want to be more like them. Those are rare. Those are
Yeah,
really rare. Hard to find people like that.
absolutely.
Um,
Um,
if I bumped into any of your current, not employees, but the people you work with, people on your team, if I bumped into any of those folks or people you work with in the past, what would they tell me about your leadership style? What kind of leader are you?
I read a lot of books, right? And when I say read, I mean listen. Like my retention is
Mhm.
terrible because I read all day for work and then I go to pull out a book and I'm like, what did I just read? But I can listen to a book while I'm playing video games. And my retention is surprisingly really good. But anyways, so I listen to a lot of books and a lot of like, personal development books or leadership based kind of books. There's like one I read called Leading with Gratitude. There was one by Mike McAllowitz that he just released. I think that it was this year. All In. That one was really good
All
as
in.
well.
Love it. Yep.
Like, so I listen to a ton of these books and I'm like, oh, like that's really good. I should implement that in my business, or I should do this. So the way that I kind of, I can't, I don't even call it, or know if I should call it running the team. Everybody has a lot of freedom to even like make up the process. Like I give them like, here's the process. And now people on my team are like, here's the process that we use. You can go outside the lines, color outside the lines. If something works better for you, if you can get it done faster or better, or it doesn't drive you crazy, or you find a better way to do it, like show us how to do that as well. And maybe
Right.
we implement that. But everybody has the agency to be, a kind of like a free person. And not like I don't monitor anybody's time. Are you online? Like the only time I monitor time is if it's like 6 o'clock and I'm still working on something and I notice that you're on Slack and I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you
Why are
doing?
you still here? You
Right.
shouldn't be working right now. And they're like, oh, well, I took 4 hours off, in the middle of the day. So I'm making up for it
Right.
now. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like you went, rock climbing or you
Yeah.
went whatever.
Yeah. Don't use that like an ankle monitor, right? Are you at your desk?
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say this, but my wife has one of those mouse movers. So
Oh yeah.
puts her mouse mover on there and it moves around. So it looks like she's online and everything like that. And then anything she gets pinged, it goes to her phone. So wherever she is, she
Yep.
knows she can answer and stuff. But yeah, I don't like being micromanaged. And that's one thing I working with my clients. We're implementing EOS. If
Yep.
you've ever read the
Uh-huh.
books by Gino Wickman, um, the owner of the business is a visionary. He says, here's where I want to take this business. This year, I want to be X.
Who's on the
Now his
bus?
leadership team, yeah, his leadership team says, here's how what we need to do in our area to make sure that we support that vision and stuff. And that has really freed them up to do some amazing things because you're saying basically, here's our goal, go make it happen. If you need me to help you in any way, let me know, right? But you don't have to
Yeah.
sit there and watch over their shoulder.
Well, I think too, it's like, yes, you have a vision for the company and everybody should be, helping work towards that vision, towards that goal. But what I tell my team is like, this is not your identity. Working at Hey Tony or working with me or anybody, like, that doesn't have to be your identity. Like, go out, do other things. Like, I want you to have time and money to do that kind of stuff because there's so many companies. It's like, you work here, you're part of the family. Like, we are not a family. You are your own person. You got a family,
Yeah,
right? Like, yes, we all get along. Everybody on the team's really great, but like, there's a division
yeah,
after five
there
o'clock
is.
or whatever. Don't work, or if you
Yeah,
want to take time off during the day, like make your own time, right?
right. Yeah, we're not a family. Most families are dysfunctional. We don't need dysfunction.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Matt, this has been great. Love this stuff. I like your philosophy on things, and yeah, very cool. If people want to get in touch with you, want to find out about the programs that you have and everything like that, how's the best way for them to do that? Is it your website?
Um, you can go to heytony.ca. Um, I have a contact form on there. I used to give out my email on podcasts, but I can't answer all the emails. So I have people on my team who are helping me with emails to the contact form and stuff like that. But it's also I post a lot and spend a lot of time on social media. So Instagram, TikTok, Instagram, it's heytony.agency is my handle. I think on TikTok is just Hey Tony Agency. But you can see my face. Like you can't see my face if you're listening to this, but it's a guy with glasses, bunch of followers. That's me.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I will make sure. And what about your CD? Can they get your CD? I mean, if
Oh
people are
no.
going to
You're gonna have
ask,
to
you probably will.
call my mom and see if she can go down to the basement and open one of those boxes.
That's it. There you go. There's got to be one down there somewhere. All right. I will make sure that the links are in the show notes for everybody. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks again for
Awesome.
being
Thank you
part of
so
the
much.
podcast. All right,
Really
listeners, hope you
appreciate
guys
it.
were taking notes. A lot of good information here. Definitely check out heytony.ca. And yeah, check out your SEO. Don't leave it to your nephew. You know, people think, oh, if you're a young kid, you know how to do this kind of stuff because it's a computer. It's like there's more to
No.
it than that. A lot more to it. So yeah, don't trust the nephew. All right. Share this episode with your family, friends, colleagues, and stick around because there's always more coming. That's it for me, Coach Harlan saying so long for now.